Corey Piper, Joe, with you on this Memorial Day weekend Sunday.
Oh, it is.
It's Memorial Day tomorrow.
Gym's closed.
Yep. Gym is open today, but it is closed on Monday. Some of us will be in here training. Probably the three of us. And the other two that you probably hear they're biking right now. First, wanted to just kind of congratulate some of the athletes we know on semifinals. While semifinals is still going for individuals. Two people we know have technically gotten their tickets punched for the games.
Jay Schmitty
and Lauren Olson, both on separate CrossFit Games teams. Believe in Omnia. Omnia finished technically third, but they got the same amount of points as first and second. I don't know what the tiebreaker was.
I don't know what the tiebreak was.
Well, I was going to say,
maybe they had to rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, it was the first workout?
Was it? Okay.
Oh, okay. I was saying it might be like number one finishes, but if they have the same score, then that would be the same.
Yeah. And then Believe was the last team in. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
We also, I guess, have had Morgan Porter, who was on Wildwood, compete out here, and her boyfriend. I didn't see where they finished, but they didn't make the games. And then Allie Thomas out of Fringe is still going. She's got her final day today. So if you're watching this video, semifinals are already over.
Yeah.
But congratulations on all your all's performances.
Some of those workouts were hard.
It's cool to see somebody you know.
Yeah.
It honestly makes it real. And it's funny because at least when I started CrossFit, there was it's so hard to make the games. You're never going to make the games. And I think
it's still kind of like that.
Well, and I think, but it crushed everybody's spirits a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so now it's cool to see
people we know.
Lauren wasn't even on a semifinals team last year.
Mm-hmm.
They had a team, but they didn't get out of quarters.
Right.
And now she went to semis, and now she's going to the games, and it's that's a year change.
It shows how much progress you can make in the year.
If you are really committed to it and you have a good team behind you, your goals aren't out of reach. And I think because I don't know why as coaches or at least as gym owners, so many people would be like, oh, don't worry about the games, you're never going to make it.
Right.
It's like we took that carrot away because I don't know why.
I don't know. I think it's, again, you see it and it just seems so unrealistic sometimes when you see those high-level athletes perform. You're like, man, I could never do that. But then it's like you said, a year.
Yeah.
And they're already going to games. It's pretty neat to see.
So if that's your goal, right?
Let us know.
I mean, we had 8, 9, 10, 11 people make quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. Technically, that's 11 people that if you get your training right, could definitely be at semifinals
next year.
And I do believe individuals obviously considerably harder than making a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about some teams that we'd like to try to see get put together here.
Yeah, you might get voluntold to be on a team. You don't know.
Yeah. After watching last night, I wanted to craft the outline of the potentials and be like, hey guys,
check this.
Start doing team training.
Yeah.
Let's put together a team and let's actually go for this.
That's what I called it.
Yeah.
Different.
So I just think that's really cool, and it can be motivating.
Yeah.
About how much you can change
in a year. And a year seems like a long time, but it's not a long time.
It's similar to like people that probably went to Olympic trials when you were a kid.
Yeah.
It just makes it real.
I mean, I didn't.
So we don't understand what Piper's saying, but I know that she's talking from the swimming and diving perspective.
I was saying.
And when I was in high school, I'd have friends, and they're like, "Oh, we've got Olympic trials," and I was I heard the word.
Yeah.
But it didn't really mean anything to me because I didn't live in that little world. So
yeah, kind of like if you were to tell someone who hasn't done CrossFit or doesn't do CrossFit, I made it to quarters or I made it to semifinals. They the games, they might be like, whoa, I've seen that on ESPN, but quarters or semis, they'd be like, okay, whatever.
Also, CrossFit games, you got to step up your coverage of at least North America, man.
Yeah, Mel said it was difficult.
They kept saying that they were going to go live, and then they didn't go live, and man, I get it. Not everything goes to plan, but you got to have a better plan.
Yeah.
You got to have a better plan A, and you got to have a better plan B and C.
And D.
Because this was, again, rough. you're telling people to get involved in the season, and that's how we can support our athletes and bring visibility to the sport and what we do. And then you got a dude with his phone and a mic trying to capture the live events.
Yeah.
Silly nonsense.
That's a little rough.
A little amateur for what CrossFit has become.
Again, don't ask me to do something, then give me
That, yeah.
F-level tools.
Yeah.
You're asking for A-level effort from out of me, but you're giving me F-level.
You want us to dig
tools.
a hole, but you give us a toothbrush to do it. It just doesn't make sense.
So help me help you, little Jerry Maguire. So
About it.
anyways, congratulations to them. Real briefly talk about next week. So it's Bring a Friend week.
Yep.
I'm bringing a friend. Are you bringing a friend?
I don't have any friends.
Are you bringing
All
a
my
friend?
friends are at the gym.
I'll post, but like honestly, I don't go out socially and talk to anybody that's not
already
in the
here.
gym.
Yeah.
We're also going to be doing different programming. Next week, we're going to be doing CAP as opposed to Mayhem. This is not a permanent switch. It's just to switch things up. Each programming has its own style. There's different ways to train. I think it'll be really cool for our coaches to see the different ways to coach and break down the notes.
CAP's notes are pretty neat. I really love the notes in CAP.
Get a little bit more time to break down some movements. We will be having our first ever
Heavy day?
I'm pretty sure first ever in the gym.
Wow, first ever, man.
Heavy day. Now, warm-up workout when we were on them did have heavy days, but they'd almost always put a finisher in.
Right.
Yeah, so no Metcon. Just
And so that's where I kind of was like, you don't really believe what you say you believe, right?
Right.
If you really want a heavy only day, then give me a heavy only day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm a 2 stimulus guy. I am. I believe you can fit 2 stimulus in an hour class with you can't teach every point of everything, but you can teach enough, and you have enough effort for those 2 things. And even if it's not the absolute best training, it's the most fun.
It is the most fun.
And the primary thing to do here is have fun.
Yeah. I would say I agree. I'm definitely a 2 stimulus type of guy 95% of the time.
Yeah.
But you and I have talked before. I'm sure you've been involved in the conversation of the importance of a heavy day, and man, like the brutality of it, man, if you do it right.
Well, and also like when we talk about 1 stimulus, we always just go to like just a heavy day. But there's also just a Metcon day. Every Monday on Mayhem
Metcon
was
just a Metcon. So there's a bunch of extra time to talk about what's in the Metcon.
Yeah, or a longer Metcon. So we've done 1 stimulus days. We haven't done, as far as I know, a heavy only day.
Ever in the 6 years of here?
I think all of them would have had a 2 to 5 minute quick burner at the end.
Wow.
we should feel special. I feel special.
I know who's gonna be so excited about that. Is that
We've had like offshoot, like we've had like CrossFit totals that we've done as like just like a special class, but it wasn't like a overall full day class programming.
Yeah.
Because there was like we did a lift off for kids, and with that we did
CrossFit total.
We did CrossFit
Is
total.
that back squat,
Back squat,
shoulder press, deadlift?
strict press. Is it? Which one has the clean in it? Is that CrossFit football total?
I think that's CrossFit football total.
Okay, that's CrossFit. That's the one I'm thinking of.
So it'll be 7 working sets. The first set's at 7 reps, and we want 65 to 75% of your 1 rep max.
Back squat, right?
Yeah. To start. So, and there's certain lifts that you can have be a heavy day, and I would say honestly, I don't think a heavy day is as successful with shoulder press.
Yeah, I feel that. I think, and like,
Because your arms.
I get your shoulders are still getting the same benefit, but we're really not getting the same CNS stress.
right, and you're not getting in shoulder press. Like, you're gonna argue it's full body, but like a squat or a deadlift, man, like.
It's different. Or a heavy clean day or a heavy snatch day.
It was gash you like no.
But
other.
CrossFit's also done like only a weighted pull up.
Yeah.
And that's their whole program for the day. And I'm like, you can't load that enough.
Right. And that's kind of where the heavy day gets its reputation of being boring. But like we've had at the old gym, like we've had heavy days and like we get the music cranking and like people get hype. It's fun. So I think having a heavy day, especially like with some back squats, dude, people love some back squats.
Especially if that's going to be your first one. If we tried a first one with weighted pull-ups.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be bad news
Yeah,
bears. But
goodbye.
I
See y'all
think,
later.
is it Thursday? It's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think Thursday would be, it's a lot of fun, man. It's because, like, high energy.
And our strength athletes who don't really enjoy Metcons will have a great time.
Oh, they're going to love it,
Yeah.
They're gonna
man.
have a
I
super
already
good time.
I already have, like, a handful of people I know
They're
that
gonna
they're
love
not
it.
only
Yeah,
are they going to show
100%.
up, like, they are going to be on their happy horse
Yes.
that day. So I would say, like, even if Thursday is usually your rest day, like, man, switch it around. Come in. Check out that heavy day.
Yeah, and that's
I'm
why
a
I
back
said to
squatter
the
for-
coaches and everything, like, challenge your athletes this week to show up on Thursday.
Yeah.
Um,
It's good. And if you do it right, man, like, you won't want to do a Metcon.
Yeah.
Like, I've had strength sessions where I finish and someone will be like, oh, yeah, like, I think you and I have done it a couple times where we do the lift and I'm like, hey, man, I think I'm
I'm gonna
done
sit
for
down
the
for a
day.
little bit.
I think I'm going to be finished. I'm going to go home. I need a nap after that. So
Yeah.
it's a really good day to not have to worry about, like, saving it for the
Yeah.
Metcon because this is it.
Yep. It's the same thing that we've seen happen when we've put Metcons in front of strength.
Yeah,
Right?
you sandbag a little bit.
Everybody's like, oh, I'm not sandbagging for the Metcon, or I didn't sandbag the strength so I can do the Metcon, and then you switch that order and they're like, oh, it turns out
I did.
I am.
Yeah.
Or I do have less energy
Yeah.
if I fully commit to this. And I would argue, yes, if you give 100, if we've got strength in Metcon in a day, and you give 100% strength, you cannot give 100% to Metcon.
Nope.
You are having to make a choice. And that's fine. Make the choice, switch the choice every once in a while.
Yeah.
You can give 100% of what's left, but it wasn't 100%
Whatever.
of what would be there if you were fresh and did that first.
Right. So Thursday will be nice because the choice has been made.
Yeah, there is no choice for
Right.
you. It's just go hard.
Let's go hard.
Let's go left.
When we had our 10 rep, do you remember our 10 rep max back squat?
That was terrible.
You don't. Oh,
Trying to get everyone.
That
to
was
do
like
that in
3
time.
cycles, 4 cycles ago, because it went from 10 rep to 8 reps, 6
Yeah.
rep, 4 rep. Each
yeah.
week it changed.
Yes, it dropped down, but I remember the plan was to do the 10 rep and then the Metcon, and I did the 10 rep and then.
Well, you're trying to
that was
PR
it.
your 10 rep squat, so maybe you hit all 10. You're like, oh, I can go up.
That's
You've
exactly
got
what
another
happened.
10 fucking back
That's
squats.
exactly what I did too. I finished my 10th rep and I was like, oh no, I could have done
Well, that's why
more.
it's just more fun. Like, everybody knows their 1 rep. They probably know their 3 rep.
5,
Maybe they're
no.
2 and 5.
Yeah.
10
You don't know
is-
your 6. You don't know your 7.
You don't know
your
anything
9.
outside of 5.
Right? And
It's-
so we can throw those numbers out there, and now we're getting more authentic, real effort.
Yeah.
Because once you have a number for your 1 rep max, that's your number. And now you're just trying to most people, you're just trying to barely beat that.
Yeah.
And so you almost constrain yourself
It's almost
based
like,
on
yeah,
your previous
you
experiences.
talk yourself out of.
Yeah.
Even if you feel good. That's why I tell people like, hey,
You're like, well, there's no way I could have gone from 315 to 355. So I'm not, like, even though this 305 felt great, I'm only going to try to go to 320 today or something like that. And it's like,
so it's always fun to get those wild numbers.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, I don't know what to expect. I'm just gonna go until it feels too heavy.
yep.
Yeah.
To insight to the good 10 rep back squat.
Oh man.
There we
Let's
go.
Let's do it after a bunch of echo bike sprints and wall balls.
Y'all would keep your reputation of having terrible leg workouts.
I think a good set of legs on you.
I know.
A good set of wheels will get you through
And
most
all
of
of
life's
our
problems.
athletes typically do okay. So it's always so funny seeing people from other gyms who are like, oh,
There's a lot of leg work.
Oh my
What we were just talking about, the first workout we released for the gauntlet coming up, toes to bar, and we didn't know what to do because what we see is our athletes are better at toes to bar than most of the other
A
athletes
lot
we
of
get
athletes.
coming over.
Yeah.
And so our expectations on what is an acceptable number of toes to bar for each given level
Slightly unrealistic.
is different from what we see people being able to handle
Yeah.
over here.
That are outside of the gym.
And I'm sure there's other movements where we will suck.
Yeah.
Comparative. This isn't bragging. This is just the way that our gym happens to work.
Well, we run a specific type of programming. All
Yeah,
programmings
emphasizes
are going to
it.
have some
Yeah.
biases, and we've been running it for long enough that even like my programming and your programming have been influenced.
Oh, without a doubt.
So like we do
I
tend
mean,
to
most of the workouts that I end up coming up with starts
from
with an idea of a workout I've seen in class or
Like a-
something like that, and then I tweak a couple of variables.
Yeah.
I don't I don't ever like coming up with a workout completely from scratch.
Yeah.
I like looking at a workout and tweaking.
So I like a little bit of both. I have got my moves.
And that's why it works out pretty well. You come with ideas, I tweak them a little bit, or I come with ideas that I've seen and we tweak them a little bit.
This is video evidence that it's not just me doing this to you guys. It's also him.
I will say, so far the gauntlet has just been him. I have not been involved yet.
You will laugh right there. You're getting ready for it if you're competing.
Some people said that workout was fun. So
I liked it, but Mayhem is also pretty echo bike heavy. So
what? No, not that one.
Oh, you're
the one
for the gauntlet. Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about the leg one from the aggregate.
No.
And I was like, I had a great time.
Are you talking about the lunge one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and again, that came from underdogs when I was training with them, and then we tweaked it.
Yeah, we moved that around.
It got pretty different from where we originally started with it, but the original idea came from underdogs, and then due to equipment or anything else, or
we swapped it around.
How it would be for judging, we swapped some things out.
Yeah, it turned out well. I think for most people, they found a movement that definitely.
Again, we would have liked. We've covered this. We would have liked the dumbbells a little lighter, especially for the ladies and intermediate. But it is what it is. So we actually do get to address this. We'll switch topics. So we've got our basically youth summer camp coming up next week. Starting with that, listen, I'll just be honest. We're going to coach CrossFit. That's what we're going to do. I know the age range is 10 to 18, or I think actually we said 12 to 18.
Was it 12 to 18?
No, it was 10 to 18. We wrote 10 to 18. Yeah. Really looking for 10 to 15, I'd say.
Yeah. I was saying
over 15, we'd probably put you in class.
Yeah. Unless you were, a little bit worried.
Yeah.
I'd say if you had a younger, 17, 16.
Or never been exposed to any sort of training, they're still going to benefit in this class. I don't want you to be like, oh, my kid's 16, they can't benefit.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100% will benefit. Where we've seen registrations, where we're going to continue to get people, listen, my kids' ages, 12 and 10, that's probably going to be in the meat of it. We're going to see 10 to 15-year-olds in here.
Yep.
But we're still going to do CrossFit. Corey, why are we still going to do CrossFit? Or Piper as well. Why are we still going to do CrossFit?
Piper, you want to go first?
Because CrossFit is constantly varied functional movements performed at a high intensity. And translates well to anything else that you could possibly do in your life.
Wow, that warmed me.
Yeah,
that she knows that.
I know, right?
Hey,
it's not like it's on all of the coaching shirts.
No, that's not what that stands for.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, Piper, when you were doing swimming, did you ever was your coach ever like, hey man, you're too fit, you're too strong,
absolutely
your
not,
conditioning is way too good? They didn't say that?
The opposite, I think, of what happened usually.
Okay.
I couldn't back squat more than, I think I'd put 25s on the bar, and I'd do 85 for 3 reps, and that would be hard.
Machine?
No, we didn't have a Smith machine. We didn't have a Smith machine, but I guess it was 95 because it was a men's bar. And that was about all I'd ever do for back squatting before I started
Do you think if you did this with swimming, if you had time, do you think this would have helped your swimming?
Yeah, it would have been a lot better than the strength that we did.
All right, even though this, you're not doing swimming specific stuff in here. Do you think it would help?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
Supplemental movements help mobility and your ability to drive more. I would say if I could back squat more, I could do the flip turn thing and kick off the wall faster and have more of a power advantage over people just from small things here and there.
So and you said the perfect word, it's power. CrossFit is power output. Most sports, actually, I would say all sports, require power output. And if you are more powerful, usually, unless you're a complete goober, you are a better athlete. If you can put more power into the ground, you can run faster, you can jump higher, you could hit harder, whatever it is. So doing CrossFit is the only thing that makes sense, even for youth athletes. It's the most important thing.
We've seen it in here with youth athletes that we've had in the past.
And it's really hard to do all this stuff without having a little bit of body awareness.
Yeah.
So on top of that, like, not only are you becoming a more powerful athlete, now you have a little bit more of awareness of where your limbs are in space. So now you're...
That was terrible for me.
Yeah, and now you're just a little bit more coordinated and you're more powerful. Like,
I remember when I hit puberty, it absolutely annihilated how
You
well
trip
I could
over-
swim.
trip over your own feet?
I just I remember I tried to do butterfly, and I was like my arms are so much fucking bigger than they used to be. How did I do this? And I think not being suspended in 40,000 tons of water and trying to do fitness would have helped me have more body awareness as opposed to not really being able to feel where you are in time and space.
well, time.
Hopefully you had time. but
Hopefully you had time. Well, I guess in the pool, man.
sometimes not.
Sometimes time's different in the pool. I'll give you
I
that.
definitely feel like when I'm underwater that I've been there for like about 2 hours and I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Versus the 2 seconds I was actually underwater.
After our warm up, I'd be like, oh, that was at least 30 minutes. So I'd look at the clock, it was 15.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Oh,
no.
no.
So the reason why we're kind of saying this first is like, you don't need to send your kids here because they're trying to make a sports team. It will help. Your kids are just gonna be happier, more coordinated, healthier, just in general. Even if it's just, honestly, even if it's you just dropping them off for an hour and 15 minutes so you can go run an errand.
Yeah.
If that's the only thing that you're looking for out of this, it's still fine. Your kid's gonna get fitter.
Yeah.
They're gonna get healthier. If it may turn them on to a sport. It may turn them on to a healthier lifestyle.
Well,
And doing something like this within their age groups, they're gonna build community. They're gonna build friendships, and they're most likely gonna build the ability to then do our adult classes when the summer's over, if they find interest there,
Yeah.
because they've got a baseline of knowledge on how to move and expectations from our gym. Now, the other thing, there is a lot of sports-specific performance places in town that they're telling you that they're going to work specifically with your kids' sport and their footwork drills or this or that or anti-rotation or rotational training or stability training. I'm going to be honest, most 14-year-olds I've seen have problems walking in a straight line. I don't need to counterload them on a BOSU ball. And listen, the places that do that, I'm sure they're great at it. If your kids are already getting D1 scholarship offers, maybe you need to go into sports-specific training. For the rest of people, I think you've got to more look at, are you ruining the sport for your kid?
Yeah.
Because keep your kid a generalist for as long as possible.
as long as you can. And one
Because
thing,
because specifying that early is going to lead to imbalances just in their body, 100%. There's no way to not if you're only doing specific training for a sport. Not only now in your body, but also your life. Your life is out of balance.
well, and it becomes your identity.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get into that imbalance. Like, one thing that sports specific doesn't cover is bulletproofing or injury resilience or whatever you want to call it. Like, there are a lot of high school athletes especially, and that's the worst, because high school athletes, they have a passion for the sport. It becomes their identity because they don't really know how to balance it, but then they get an injury because they haven't spent the time building up those weak points. And usually it's going to be an ACL or an MCL if you got like football, basketball, things like that. Swimmers, I'm sure, probably ran into some shoulder issues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went to PT when I was 13.
Yeah, or like hip
And we're
issues.
not without injuries.
And yeah, no, I don't want to say that CrossFit is going to 100% guaranteed make you or help you never get injured, but it is going to make you stronger and more resilient.
Yeah.
I know I've taken some pretty gnarly spills off of my mountain bike, and if I wasn't a thicker boy, it probably would have wrecked me up pretty good.
Well,
Wrecked you up
let's
pretty
say
It still wrecked me up pretty good.
so. As a kid, you've got your team practice, and I'm sure you've got off-season stuff. And we're going to talk just to the athletes for a second. So you've got your team practices, And then you've got your probably recommended stuff that they tell you to do, mandatory, non-mandatory stuff.
Yep.
And then if you're really wanting it, you're going to see somebody sports specific. I think you'd be better served. Let's say you're doing 5 sports specific training sessions outside of your team mandated stuff a week. Drop that to 2, and do general
3.
Yep. You don't have an increase in volume there, but I do believe you'll have an increase in results all around. You'll still stay specific enough to your sport, condensed 2 times of exposure there, and then using the 3 times to generally improve power.
Yep.
So I'm not telling you to cut completely one thing, but I am recommending you should reduce.
Yeah.
Again, there are exceptions to every rule. You may legitimately need sports specific training because you can get your college paid for.
That'd be pretty dope.
Go for it.
I still
That is not 99.8% of you.
I still think this would help, man.
Oh, I still think it would help, but if you got college, I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. Honestly, you should probably be doing one-on-one training. You shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I think
because you got to look at that as an investment, and we can do one-on-one training, and we can do sports-specific stuff. We have the knowledge. This isn't us saying don't do this because we don't have the knowledge or we don't have the resources to do this. We absolutely do. We just believe in being a generalist.
Right. And I would say, if it's that, you should be working with your coaches.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be going to any place that's outside. If you
And
get
not
that
unless
much
your coach
money
is
on the line.
specifically, again,
Right.
we are talking about a return on investment. You're about to get $200,000 in scholarships.
Yeah.
You should be spending $20,000 on your training, not $500 or $250.
Yeah.
For a summer.
Okay, so we would talk about athletes and stuff. Joe or Piper, do either of you think that even if I'm not an athletic kid doing athletic things in sports, I could come in to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We have not athletic adults come in to do this.
We have a non-athletic adult sitting between Joe and I.
Ooh.
Yeah, you want to swim again,
I was
Corey?
going to say.
No, I don't
I didn't
swim.
throw the shade because I dang near drowned with these 2 freaking
man.
fish.
I can't swim.
You swim all right.
Oh,
You weren't bad.
I didn't enjoy it.
Well, because we did that partner workout that you suggested.
So the best thing I did was not drown. And it got close a couple of times.
So Piper, you can't do this because you were an athletic kid.
He threw shade at the one person that actually played sports.
Yeah, I would say I talk a lot of trash for someone. Who
I was on
didn't do
teams.
anything.
Don't get me wrong.
See, I was on.
Somebody had to hold the bench down. I played basketball, baseball, football.
In high school?
In high school, I was on the football team for a little bit, but I was into counterculture. Drugs. I wasn't so much into trying to be on the sports teams.
Yep.
I would always try out for the golf team. I'd always make it, but that was only because I had a crush on the coach. I liked golf. I knew I could never make the team because I worked to support my habits.
Your
McDonald's in the Columbia Mall food court.
Yeah. So, could I have played sports? Sure. I remember playing basketball in junior high, and I was 4 at the time, and I think the coach was like, "Hey, man, you'd actually have acceptable handles if you were 6'5", and I was like,
Cool.
"Well, I'm not."
Dope.
So
I guess I'll see you.
I'll see you on the C team bench.
Yep.
And that's where I was at. I think I maybe played in like 4 minutes, and yeah.
There you go. See,
not good.
tried football 8th grade, I think, and didn't like. I think I played maybe one single play all season. I wasn't super into it.
Yeah.
And then, as I got older, I got into basketball, but I was never a sports kid.
Again, and this isn't a lack of. I didn't try. I didn't go out and practice. I wasn't driven. So, like, you're hearing this when we're telling you that we can teach your kids to be athletes, and we're saying that we're not athletes.
Right.
Ours was apathy,
Yeah.
I think. And honestly, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry if you lead, lack of support.
Yeah.
My parents never believed I could be an athlete. All I remember getting told is any sport I tried to play is like, well, you're not going to go pro. Why does it matter? Yeah. It was like, hey, you need to. They didn't see the value in sports enriching my life, even if it wasn't going to be a profession.
Yeah.
Right? It was get good grades, go to business school, right? Get this degree and go get this job. It wasn't how are sports going to fit into your life post like being 16.
Yeah.
And you know, this is also the 80s and early 90s. CrossFit didn't exist. There wasn't as much of a recreational fitness
and
community.
Children doing sports wasn't so hyper specific as it is now. If I like, my parents put me in swim at
and I do,
7
and I
years old.
and I would
like,
say
hey, you're gonna try to swim in college. Okay.
I think parents have jumped the shark. We went from no encouragement to all in all the time. You need to be on these summer league travel teams. You need to be doing this, and maybe that's what you've got to do to get a D1 scholarship. I just want to be honest. I'm not talking to those kids. I'm talking to the kids that are trying to find fun in their sport, in their activity, and want to be overall healthy for the rest of their life. And yeah, could it still help you get a scholarship? Sure. But I don't think that should be your drive. I think that's a quick way to burn out and hate everything.
100%.
And let's criticize our own sport, right? Mal O'Brien and Haley Adams.
Oh yeah, they both had to take some mental health.
They have been told you're going to be a CrossFit Games champion since they were 12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's too much.
They're just tired.
They're tired. They're 19, 20.
Well,
they're maybe they'll come back. I hope they'll come back. I hope they find the balance in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, the Navy SEAL, of course, is everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah.
Which is a funny quote, but it's also kind of true. There are times to where moderation is not your friend. Moderation is honestly a security blanket. It's a hedge against trying too hard. Mm-hmm. I think at times when you find something that you're really good at. But CrossFitters we're not exempt from becoming laser focused and becoming out of balance. And putting too much pressure on our kids to succeed, because we see this as a potential sport, right? If your son's not over 6 foot, why are you even got him on a basketball court? He's not going anywhere, and not unless he is just insanely talented with a ball. And even then, we're talking what, maybe a D1 low college scholarship.
Like 5'5".
Yeah. And again, that was 30 years ago. I don't think Muggsy could play in today's NBA. And with the same amount of talent, I don't think he could play.
We gotta bring him back. Time machine it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make sport fun and well-rounded, and give people supplemental resources to enjoy the aspects of sport that maybe they don't get to explore if they're, a wrestler and they do this forever.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't get to do all the gymnastics things that can.
And we've had success with wrestlers, baseball players,
football players,
basketball players, track,
all of it.
Yep.
Well, it's like at the beginning, like you can't be too powerful or too fast or too strong for a sport.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I've never heard be less powerful, please.
Please stop being strong. Like, you don't need to be stronger. You're already strong. You're too strong.
Yep.
That's just not a thing they say in sports.
And, and Corey and Piper both touched on it, but what is the number one aim of CrossFit?
Power output.
Across.
Optimizing power.
Broad time and modal domains.
There we go.
Like, it's straight out of the book, guys.
Yeah, it's literally the first paragraph of what we do and why
CrossFit
we do
L1
it.
handbook.
We are trying to increase power output across broad times and modal domains.
Yep.
So 2 minutes, 2 hours, in the water, on the track,
on the
in a
field,
kayak.
Yeah.
And a kite, yeah. And that's the
In
other
the grocery
thing
store.
is,
Yeah.
like, even for you, if you're watching this and you're like, man, my kids don't do any sports, like, they don't. Okay, that's fine. This can still help them just in life. I've seen more
Confidence.
Gosh, that's the biggest thing. Like, I've seen people come in here that are quiet and timid and self-conscious, and they're wearing, big baggy clothes, and within the first 6 months, man, like, they come out of their show, shirts off, like, high-fiving,
You
yelling.
see them happy.
And that's the big thing. And I know, like, as a kid, I definitely struggled with confidence, and I think having something like this would have helped a lot. So even if your kid is not an athlete per se, I guess, because if you come in here, I'm going to consider you an athlete. Even if you're tripping over your feet, we can get you there, man.
Yeah.
But this is just confidence, man. And it's better than sitting at home twiddling your thumbs or, eating boxes of Nutty Bars, which is what we used to do as kids.
We see a lot of adults who wish
Plus,
they
if
had.
your kid's getting picked on, they now have a team.
Well, they've got a support team of kind of scary looking people.
Yeah.
Big old dudes.
I'll get on my motorcycle because now I live that motorcycle life.
Say, Piper's, I'm sure, had numerous people be like, your gym dads.
Yeah, my gym dad's.
Are a little scary.
I say I have 3 gym fathers.
Yeah, and you come here, you put in the
Y'all are
work.
bigger than my real dad, so it's like.
Yeah, but Jay
Who
knows
am I gonna
Air Force
Okay, see,
karate.
hopefully Jay's not watching this. Jay's going to get in his
Jay is
feelings.
not YouTube fluent.
Oh, okay.
I'll say.
Yeah, then we're coming for you, Jay.
So Jay's not doing, I'm not going to threaten people with my uber goofy Star Wars dad. I'm going to threaten people with Corey. When he's a picture of him, I'll be like, this is my dad.
This is my. Well, I don't love that, but okay, I'll deal with it.
This is my older brother, Corey.
Yeah, there we go.
Stop fucking with me.
Just don't look at any of the tattoos because then they'll be like, no, he's a goober too.
Yeah. Why does he have a How to Train Your Dragon tattoo?
Yeah, he's a Pokemon nerd. But and like you come here, you get more confident, and then you also get to hang out with people who I'm not gonna say.
I always do this with Skylar. I'm always like, cool. I wouldn't say, he'll be like, yeah, I'm pretty cool. I'm like, I don't know if cool's like necessarily the right word.
Yeah, we're not cool, but we're cool. We'll say positive influences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than some of the vernacular we say in here.
Yeah.
We do have words. But again, like, you got positive influences, you got role models, you've got confidence building, and again, there's no reason you wouldn't want to be stronger in life.
We see a lot of adults in here who wish they had done it earlier.
Yeah.
Wish they would have found it. I mean, when I first joined, I was still in high school. And people were always like, oh, I wish I had started CrossFit when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 all that. So it's just providing a platform for you to do it if you're interested.
And I think, if you're below the age group for this, I think one of the most important things is gymnastics.
Yeah.
I'll even dance. I think those two things for single-digit kid ages are amazing because you're learning to move your body in space. You're learning coordination, balance.
Well,
the things that we continue to improve on here happen in dance and gymnastics, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And listen, gymnastics, if you make it and you're good, you're going to continue. And we're not blowing anybody's world away, but teenagers that have been doing gymnastics for a very long time have some injuries. Yeah. And if that's your sport and that's what you're going for D1, that's great. That's on you. But I think almost every kid should do gymnastics. That's the one thing I've said is that if I got to go back, I would somehow tell my parents put this kid in gymnastics or dance.
Gymnastics, and then this.
I think this is the next thing after that.
100%.
If you find out that you're not going to be a dancer or a gymnast and that's not your thing, at about that age, you start transitioning into some more weight, into using external load versus just moving your internal body. You work on that 10, 15, 16. You find you're now an athlete. Maybe you try to apply that to a sport.
Yeah.
Maybe you go to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, or maybe you decide your sport is CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good blueprint for kind of how to get your kids up and going.
Well, and then another thing that gymnastics, dance, and this would all add to we'll say your life resume is, it teaches you to listen, to be coachable, and again, that's a life skill.
Yeah.
Like I've met people as adults and I'm like, dude, you did not play
do
sport.
activities.
You did not do things because it's very apparent.
Also teaches commitment,
and discipline,
success, pride in your own successes.
Well, and being humble. So I can't tell you how many times I have got my ass kicked by a workout after thinking I was hot stuff. Like when I did my first CrossFit workout, I was like, I'm so fit, and then I got crushed by it, and it was like, man, I got to manage that.
Everyone remembers their first CrossFit workout.
Oh man!
Well, one of our most viewed videos, handling disappointment, from test 23.1.
That was hard.
That was one of our most viewed videos, talking about that and having to own up to those emotions.
You can be upset that you didn't do well.
And you've seen, like, I'm sure you've seen, both of you have probably seen kids that have clearly never, or at least very rarely, lost something, and they cannot handle
or been allowed to fail in
Yeah.
a safe and supportive environment. They've never been allowed to fail.
And it is a meltdown.
Maybe they do fail one time and they just clam up.
Yeah.
Gone. You don't hear from them. Their parents start doing the thing that sports parents do nowadays. We're like,
Oh wow!
you need to be allowed to fail without having car talks with your parents. And when it's the last thing you want to talk about is how bad you just did.
And then on the flip side, like it teaches you to win properly.
I just that's 125.
Yeah.
Ah!
Okay,
Well, and again,
that's
when you
that's a lot.
at the games or anything like this, and it matriculates down in the sport, when you see the best person cheering on their competitor,
Yeah.
you learn to win with grace.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Like you
learn that multiple people can win. Yeah, it's almost like an abundance mindset. I think a lot of times we're taught that in order to win, somebody else has to lose.
Yeah.
And that is true to a degree.
But
but there's also ways
for everyone to win.
for everyone to win.
Right. Without
And I think that's one thing that CrossFit does really well. And we got lucky with who we started with, I guess, as athletes, and who it attracted to. That it was that supportive, coming from a military environment, right? Mm-hmm. Those are team guys. They wanted to win the workout, but they didn't want to win because their teammate lost.
Right.
They wanted to win because they were winners.
Right. And it's other people winning motivate you to win.
Yeah.
Which motivates other people to win.
Yeah.
So it's one big, and it's just a big.
And when you come back the next day and you're like, I got you on this one. You see what's in this one?
Yeah.
It pushes everyone to be better without making anyone feel lesser.
It's hard to describe if you haven't been in a CrossFit gym and seen it. Yeah. How to say it's competitive, how to say there's winners, but it's not that toxic environment that you're used to. And listen, there are people that are toxic with winning in CrossFit.
Well, it's with everything.
There's people that are toxic in everything, but the large majority of CrossFitters, it's not a win at all costs kind of thing.
It's I want you to win because I win from you winning.
I want to see your time on the leaderboard and raise you one.
Yeah.
And see what you come back with the next day.
22, whatever one, the thrusters and the max thruster.
23 2B.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Cooper beat me on the first part, and then on the second part, he was going for the weight I hit. So I was like, man, I know if he hits this, like he's gonna beat me. And he pulled it, and I was like, oh, yo, man, if you change this, you'll hit that. And then he did it. Even though I lost, I was like, man, like, he got that. Like, it pumped me up. So, and that's for the majority of the community of CrossFit.
Yep.
So even if your kids aren't in sports, man, like, get them into this. Get them around these people. Even if it's not.
Man, I just want the program to start right now. I'm encouraged again.
Bring your kids in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will, lastly, I'll say, listen, I understand $250 can be a lot of money. For something that you've never experienced, come try the week.
Try a week. And compared to having a babysitter all summer.
It's cheaper.
And listen, the program's from 10 to 11:15. If you don't come pick them up till 11:40, we got a lounge. They can sit there on their tablet.
They can hang out. They could work out with us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're not rude.
Yeah. If they're rude,
and they listen. But yeah, I mean, we got space.
Yeah. They could just hang out. They could all hang out and I don't know.
I might give them, a weed eater and have them do some yard work.
A mop and a towel.
Yeah.
That builds character. That's what we do after the workout to build character.
Little Danielson Karate Kid training.
I like that.
Yeah.
Say they got to pick up the floor, but they got to do a perfect squat when they bend down to pick stuff up.
Yeah.
I like this.
Get that work done. So, all right, we've gone way too long today. Long
we
video.
always do.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe.
Get kids legally. Legally get children in here.
Yeah. Also, please let us know what you want us to cover.
Yeah.
We just have random conversations, and they become.
We're like, hey, that's
We're like, we'll talk about
We'll
that
talk
on
on Sunday. Yeah, I think we were laying out on the dock on Thursday, and I was like, I know what we're talking about.
Yep.
So, let us know. We like talking.
Subscribe. Send this to people.
Don't send this to my dad.
Don't send this to Jay unless he wants these hands.